Welcome to our most popular segment at openthebooks.com on Use It or Lose It Spending. This is the ripoff of the week, and we're very excited that you've been able to join us tonight. My name is Adam Andrzejewski. I'm the founder and CEO of openthebooks.com, and you know our mission. It's every dime, online in real time. And last year, our auditors filed and followed up with and captured data in 50,000 units of government at the federal, state, and local level across the country. They filed 41,500 Freedom of Information Act requests. So thank you for joining us here this evening. And before we get into the topic, I want to introduce my co-host, Tamara Colbert.
Good evening, Adam. This is a big report, one that draws a lot of ire. So give us the synopsis. What is Use It or Lose It spending?
Well, Tamara, this is the phenomenon that happens every year in Washington, D.C., when the federal agencies spend down their budget this year so that they get the same or more money out of Congress next year. And it is a huge problem when the federal agencies can't even hardly spend all the money that Congress is throwing at them.
So give us some examples of this crazy spending spree they do at the end of the year.
Well, Tamara, there's a lot in $91 billion that goes out the door in 30 days. To put this in perspective, in the last 2 days of the year, $24 billion went out the door. Taxpayer money. And so here's what we found. We found $500,000 worth of alcohol. We found $750,000 worth of golf carts. We found $250 million purchased by the federal agencies in vehicles, $500 million worth of furniture, $750 million worth of food. As a matter of fact, we found $50 million spent by the Pentagon on seafood this year.
$50 million on seafood?
So it was catfish and mahi-mahi and salmon and lobster and crab. And to put that in perspective, last year, we made big national news when we did this oversight report on Use It or Lose It spending. Because the Pentagon, they spent, $10,000 on a club leather chair. They spent $1 million last year, 2 years ago, on PBR, the Professional Bull Riders Association. And then the big national news story a year ago was nearly $5 million on lobster and crab. Well, this year we found the Pentagon spent $10,000 on an entertainment center, $1,300 on a love seat. They spent $100 million on public relations. And they spent that $50 million on seafood. And the Pentagon, they're they are the worst offender on Use It or Lose It spending.
Absolutely. So what are who else are some of the biggest offenders that we've got at the federal level?
Well, the top 5 federal agencies, and we're watching them closely. We've got a white hot spotlight on each one of these. It's the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, Health and Human Services, the General Services Administration, the VA at Veterans Affairs, and the last agency is actually Homeland Security.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Give us some other things of what are some of these agencies? What are they purchasing and what are you looking at next?
So we found that nearly $750 million went out the door in the purchase of, by the Pentagon in terms of, large ticket items. So they actually 75, billions of dollars went out the door, for, like on things that we would all want, missiles and, defense systems, but also guns and ammunition. But what we found was $1.5 million was also spent by non-law enforcement, non-military agencies on the purchase of guns, ammunition, and military style equipment. And these were the agencies like the VA, like the Department of Education.
What?
Health and Human Services.
Department of Education is spending money on guns and ammo?
Yes. So here's the $1.5 million spent on guns, ammunition, and military style equipment by these non-law enforcement, non-military agencies, included Veterans Affairs, purchasing over $600,000 worth of rounds of ammunition. And they spent another $27,000 purchasing handguns and long guns. And they described the long gun program at the VA as the military police long gun program with their AR-15 style weaponry. Health and Human Services actually did a self-described weapons refresh. Over at HHS, they spent $144,000 on the purchase of new guns over at that agency, and then they spent another 55 grand on rounds of ammunition. Agriculture, they spent 55 grand on ammo. And actually on buckshot, and another $4,000 on 12-gauge shotguns. The Interior spent nearly $300,000, including long guns, AR-15 style, 2 AR-15s, Remington shotguns, and a large purchase of $120,000 worth of miscellaneous guns and an estimated 300,000 rounds of ammunition. Education spent about $6 grand. Treasury spent about $6,500, and labor, the Department of Labor, spent about $7,700 on ammo.
Exactly. We have a great comment here from Thomas, who's saying this money should be going to pay down the national debt, and Thomas is exactly right.
Well, there's something else. So we took a look at this. It was nearly 20,000 contract transactions a day, each day last year for the month of September. It was $3 billion a day on average that went out the door in the month of September. I have a Squeal Award here, hot off the press, from U.S. Senator Joni Ernst. She's giving a Squeal Award to Health and Human Services and all those other big spending federal agencies because they know how to spend your tax dollars to blow these contracts out the door in the last 30 days of the fiscal year, yet they're not even spending all of the money already allocated by Congress during the coronavirus pandemic to buy basic necessities like personal protective equipment. So use all that energy and buy some PPE and stop spending like 10 grand on pecan pies at the end of the year.
Exactly. So something that's really important, though, that you and I kind of were able to watch happen at one of the latest, it was the Department of Defense annual budget review, right, in the House, and by the committee that its name escapes me at the moment. And there was bipartisan support verbally from the chairman, deputy chairman, on down through both sides of the aisle, saying this is egregious spending. This practice has got to go. Have you heard anything more? What is Open the Books doing with that?
So it was actually Adam Smith. He's a Democrat out of the state of Washington. He's the chairman of the U.S. Armed Forces Armed Services Committee, and he stated in a hearing on the Defense Reauthorization Act that he would back a floor amendment to stop this use it or lose it spending. In the House, Dan Crenshaw has a bill to stop this, and it was led in the Senate by U.S. Senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst, who wrote the bill to eliminate the practice of this year-end spending. And I'm also proud to say that in February, we got the president's buy-in. In his budget to Congress, he dedicates a half page in his budget to eliminating wasteful spending and specifically cites openthebooks.com, bullet points our findings on this year-end spending spree, and says it must stop.
Well, this is actually a really great point, because a lot of people, here we are in the middle of convention season, election season, but there actually are points where everyone agrees. This actually, this might be a good way for people that are watching this video to understand this is a way for Congress to come together. Call your legislator, call your senator, and definitely check out openthebooks.com. Go there, see what we are doing. What would you recommend, Adam, is the most important thing, if there were a couple things for people watching this that they can do to actually support stopping use it or lose it spending at the federal level?
So we have momentum. And as you know, Tamara, we've made this issue large on a national basis. And with leaders in the Senate like Joni Ernst, and the House like Dan Crenshaw and Adam Smith, we've got real momentum on this with the president's buy-in. So people our supporters and followers here on the Facebook page, we need to raise our voice and call our member of Congress. This is probably a 99% issue with the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I went on C-SPAN to break our report on Washington Journal for, I think it was for a half hour. I took 17 phone calls. They tagged them as Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. Everyone was with us, all 17 calls. And stay tuned. I'm going back on C-SPAN on August 31st on Monday in the 7:30 Eastern hour. And I'm sorry, in the 8:30 Eastern hour, 7:30 Central. And we're going to have that conversation again with the American people.
Absolutely. And, today, actually, right now, breaking on the Epic Times, Mark Tapscott also put some details in there that you guys can go to Epic Times. It's going to be on the top page of this open the books oversight of the use it or lose it spending. So we are continuing to gain traction. This is a very, very important issue. And guess what? All the people watching this can help elevate this even more, Adam. It's really important.
That's right. This whole system's built on we the people, and we need to, raise our voice and sound the alarm. The national debt crossed $26 trillion, and use it or lose it spending is a no-brainer. Let's stop the year-end spending spree. Let's stop together Christmas in September for federal contractors.
Thank you so much, Adam. You guys have been great. This is our ripoff of the week. Open the books, Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. We will post all the links that you need right here to get engaged. We'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for another great segment. Thanks, Adam.